Sucking down a piece of wood here to start a new project making a Snowflake catch-all tray. This project is going to use 4 different bits, so it's important that we make sure that we set our Z0 location in the exact same spot every time. As we're going to carve away pieces here, we want to make sure that that is outside the area that's going to be cut. Starting out with a point roundover bit, you can see immediately one of the problems with a point roundover bit, if your material is not perfectly flat, it can carve in a little bit too deep, leaving an unclean edge there, but it doesn't really matter using solid wood like this. However, this point roundover is doing something I'm unable to do on just a router table with any other bit. I'll show more of that later. So we're going to go through and round over the inside and outside profiles of the tray. We do have plans that go over how I set all of this up if you want to check those out for yourself and be able to see that. But basically I set these up as an 18-degree V-bit instead of setting it up as a form tool within the Vectric software. And again, all those details are in the plans that go into detail how we're doing everything here. So we're going to go ahead and get our bit switched out. You can see I blow out the collet between each bit. That is a very important step to ensure that you get a nice tight hold on the bit. And you can see again we're using that exact same spot to zero off the bit. We're going to go through here with a bull bit and carve out all of the material. We're going to go in an offset direction here just to remove the majority of the material, using a 40% step over to remove as much material as fast as we can. So we're going to go through in multiple passes, and as we get to that edge there, you can see this lining up real nicely with our point rounded over edge. These bull bits have a radius on the bottom, so we need to get down another level before it fully matches up. I thought it was really cool to see the chips flying off of this bit. We'll get to our final depth here in just a few passes, and on that last pass using the offset pass, you can see it cleaning up really nicely up to that rounded over edge that we did with the point roundover bit. Now we're going to go through and do a finishing pass. This is going to go with the grain, and I'm going to take a really small step over. I'm using 8% here, and that leaves me with a finish that virtually needs no sanding. Basically I just hit it with 220 at the very end really lightly, and it cleaned everything up. And again, here's that edge once everything's been cut away. So now we have the tray all pocketed out, and you can see that finish on the bottom. The tray almost looks shiny. It's a really nice finish. We got nice big chips, which is exactly what we want to see. So we get that switched out for a 90-degree V-bit so that we can carve into the bottom of this tray, again zeroing in the exact same spot. And we'll begin carving right into the bottom. We're going to do a snowflake design. It's really cool to see this getting all carved in there, and the bit fit absolutely perfectly up against those edges to not run into the edges of the tray. Again, the plans go over all of this, how I have all this set so that we're using the same Z0 position point. So the snowflake is now all carved into the bottom of the tray. Now all we have left to do is to cut out the profile. For that, I'm going to use a 1/4-inch upcut bit. One of the really nice things about using a point roundover is that we've already broken that edge, so we don't even have to worry about chipping out the outside edge of the tray at all, while maintaining the best chip evacuation that we can, which is going to lead to a cleaner cut. You can see there are some frays on the outside edge of that cut, but that doesn't matter because all we care about is the inside that we've already rounded over. Now the tray is all cut. We'll turn the vacuum off and pop this thing out. I used an onion skinning method here, so we just have a little bit of material left there that was holding everything in place along with the vacuum table, and our tray is now cut on the CNC. We'll move over to the router table where I'm going to add a big chamfer on the bottom of it. I really like the look of this, and it actually makes it look like the snowflake is almost floating, and it definitely did a really nice job adding that edge profile onto the tray. I did all of this in a single pass. However, I'd probably recommend doing it in 2 passes, but it handled everything just fine, and I didn't have any sort of chip out or anything like that. It definitely left a really nice smooth cut on this tray. Now that that chamfer is done, we can now address that little bit that was left by the point roundover bit, and actually why we needed to use that in the first place. So the point roundover bit is able to get into areas that most router bits just can't get to. The bearing is too tall, or the screw runs into the bottom of the tray before we're able to get there, but with the point roundover, it doesn't have any of those problems, and we can round over just fine at whatever angle it is that we want. To clean up that area, all it took was just a little bit of sanding with some 220 grit sandpaper, and we have a really nice smooth finish. And here you can see how that point roundover turned out, lining up really nice and clean with both the inside and outside edges of the tray. So now we just need to do a tiny bit of sanding on the inside. Just doing this with some 220 grit. This took maybe a minute of sanding, which if you've ever done catch-all trays without doing a finishing pass like I did here, you know that takes a lot more sanding than that. So now we're going to get some finish put on. For this, I'm using Walrus Oil cutting board oil. It's my go-to finish for catch-all tray projects like this. Definitely looks really nice. Let that sit overnight, and then we can get it all buffed off. If you've ever made carved trays, you know that it's difficult to get that finish out of the carving to make sure that you have everything all buffed out. But for that, we have a little bit of a trick. I use compressed air to blow out all of that excess finish, and I usually put a towel right behind that. Makes it really easy to get that out of those areas without having to get in there with a towel to buff all of that out, and it leaves a really, really nice clean finish. Now the tray is all completed. I absolutely love the way that this looks. This is some thermally modified white oak that my local lumber supplier has, and it is absolutely beautiful. I absolutely love the carving and the overall look at the tray. The plans for this project are available on our website, as well as all tools used to make it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you love this type of content, be sure to subscribe right over here and click right over here for more great videos.